Hello, I am Victor Ofori, a medical laboratory scientist. In this video, I'll be discussing the composition and functions of blood. That's the various components of blood and functions of blood. Blood is a specialized body fluid in the circulatory system of humans and other vertebrates. Vertebrates are animals that have backbone. In this video, I'll focus on the blood of humans. In humans, blood is a red, thick fluid or liquid that flows through the blood vessels in the body. The amount of blood in a person's body depends on their weight and size. For example, a man that weighs 70 kilograms has approximately 5 to 6 liters of blood, which is a little over a gallon. The pH of blood ranges from 7.35 to 7.45. The pH is a measure of how acidic or basic a solution is. So, for example, a pH of 7 is a neutral pH. It is neither acidic nor basic. If the pH falls below 7, that solution is said to be acidic. If the pH is above 7, that solution is basic. So a pH of blood ranging from 7.35 to 7.45 implies that blood is slightly basic. The temperature of blood hovers around 38 degrees Celsius. Blood has 4 major components. These 4 components include plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Functions of blood. Blood performs very important functions in the body. These include transport of substances in the body, provision of immunity or protection against infection in the body. 3. Homeostasis, that's regulation of normal body conditions. And then 4. Coagulation, that's formation of blood clots to prevent excessive bleeding during injury. So I'll take them one after the other. So the first function of blood being transport. Blood transports oxygen and nutrients to the various tissues in the body. Blood also transports waste substances like carbon dioxide to the lungs. It also transports urea and creatinine to the kidney so that they can be excreted. Blood is involved in the transport of hormones from where they are produced to target organs. So hormones like growth hormone, sex hormones, oxytocin, insulin, they are all transported by blood. And the second function of blood being immunity. Blood protects the body against diseases like infection and even cancer. Then number 3, homeostasis. Blood homeostasis is a process by which normal favorable conditions are maintained in the body. For example, temperature. Blood ensures that the body's temperature is maintained in a normal range. It ensures that the temperature doesn't go too high or too low, but it's maintained in a range of around 37.5 degrees Celsius. Then lastly, coagulation. Blood ensures that when there is a cut or when someone sustains an injury, the person does not bleed to death. So blood itself is involved in the formation of clot or plugs that seal the site of injury to prevent excessive loss of blood. So functions of the blood: transport, immunity, homeostasis, and coagulation. Components of blood. As I mentioned earlier, blood has 4 major components: red cells, white cells, platelets, and plasma. So when blood is put in a test tube and placed in a special instrument called centrifuge and spun at a very high speed, the various components of blood will separate out depending on how heavy or their density. So secondly, you can also leave blood in a test tube on a bench or on a flat surface for a very long time. When this happens, the blood will separate out into its various components. So the diagram that you see is blood which are separate in a test tube, which are separated out into its various components. So the bottom half of the diagram is made of red cells. The red cells is responsible for the red color of the blood. Then on top of the red cells is a thin layer, and that thin layer is composed of white blood cells and platelets. Then the supernatant, or the fluid that sits on top of the platelets and white cells, is plasma. The plasma is composed of proteins, ions, water, nutrients, waste substances, and gases. So let's look at the composition of blood in percentages. Blood is composed of 55% plasma, 44% red blood cells, and 1% white blood cells and platelets. So these figures are average figures. So they may differ slightly from one person to another. So composition of plasma. So as I mentioned, blood has 4 major components: red cells, white cells, platelets, and plasma. Now I'm focusing on plasma. The plasma is composed of 91% to 92% water and 8% to 9% solid substances which are dissolved in the water. The solid components of plasma include albumin, clotting factors, antibodies, enzymes, and hormones. So these are all proteins. So the first solid component of plasma include proteins, and those proteins are the ones that I mentioned: albumin, clotting factors, antibodies, enzymes, and hormones. Then aside proteins, there's also sugar, mainly in the form of glucose, in the plasma. Then fat particles are also dissolved in the plasma. And then lastly, or number 4, we have electrolytes. Electrolytes are ions that circulate in the plasma, and they include sodium, potassium, bicarbonates, chloride, and calcium. Red blood cells. So the diagram or the picture that you see shows red blood cells flowing through a blood vessel. So these are all red blood cells. You can see that the surface of the red blood cells are invaginated. There's an indentation. It's not flat, but it's caved inwards. The surface of opposing red blood cells are caved inwards, and the red blood cells have a biconcave and a discoid shape. It looks like a disc. So the mature red cell, as I've mentioned, is biconcave and have a shape that looks discoid. There's no nucleus in the red blood cell, even though most of the cells in man are nucleated or have nucleus. The red cells lack nucleus. And the absence of nucleus is for a specific reason. It's to make the red cell flexible and gives it an increased surface area. The flexibility makes the red cell be able to maneuver its way through blood vessels, especially very small blood vessels. In the body, the increased surface area also allows for sufficient gas exchange. If the surface area is high or is increased, it's able to exchange the carbon dioxide and oxygen in the body and the lungs easily. The main function of red cells is to transport oxygen from the lungs to the various tissues in the body, and also transport carbon dioxide from the various tissues in the body to the lungs so that it can be excreted. The red cell has a diameter of about 7.5 to 8.7 micrometers. Micrometers simply means 1 meter, a length of 1 meter divided by 1 million. So 7.5 micrometers means 7.5 meters divided by 1 million. So if you divide 7.5 meters by 1 million, each unit is 7.5 micrometers. So diameter of red cell 7.5 to 8.7 micrometers. The red cell has a thickness of 1.7 to 2.2 micrometers, and the average lifespan of red cell is 120 days. Red cell do not live longer, they live for just about 120 days because of the absence of nucleus, and the nucleus helps in protein synthesis to repair worn out components of cells. So if the nucleus is absent, it means this red cell is unable to repair worn out components easily, and therefore after 120 days it passes away. White blood cells. The picture that you see here is a blood vessel with white blood cells flowing in it. So these are the white ones. These are white blood cells, white blood cells, white blood cells, and this is also white blood cells. As I mentioned, these are red blood cells. Red blood cells are also flowing through the blood vessels. The white blood cells are part of the immune system. They are the major components of the immune system. They are involved in inflammation and cellular response to injury. This means that whenever there's any unwanted substance that is harmful to the body, the white blood cells make sure that it fights these substances and eliminates them from the body. And the white blood cells can be classified into two major types: granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes and agranulocytes. This classification to granulocytes and agranulocytes is based on whether there is the presence or absence of microscopic granules in the cytoplasm of the white blood cells when stained. When the white blood cells are stained with a special type of stain called Romanowsky stain. So we have granulocytes and agranulocytes, and there are 3 cells under granulocytes. The 3 white cells under granulocytes are neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. Granulocytes have what we call primary granules and secondary granules. Primary granules and secondary granules. The granules are tiny particles that are found in the cytoplasm of the granulocytes or the white blood cells. So granulocytes have primary granules and secondary granules. The primary granules are also called azurophilic granules. The primary granules are called azurophilic granules, and the secondary granules are also called specific granules. So agranulocytes have primary granules but do not have secondary granules. Agranulocytes have primary granules, that's the azurophilic granules, but do not have secondary granules or specific granules. Agranulocytes include lymphocytes and monocytes. Lymphocytes and monocytes form the agranulocytes. So white cells are divided into granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes are neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. Agranulocytes are lymphocytes and monocytes. So this diagram or this picture shows the various types of white blood cells. So the ones you can see here, these are neutrophils. This one and this one, these are neutrophils. The white blood cells do not have color, but they have been stained with special stains called Romanowsky stains. That's how come they are colored. So these are neutrophils. This is a neutrophil. This is a neutrophil. This is a eosinophil. This one is a eosinophil. This is a monocyte. This is a basophil, and then this one is a lymphocyte. So in subsequent videos, you go into the white blood cells in details and describe each of them. That's the neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, monocytes, and lymphocytes. We describe the various types of white blood cells and their functions in subsequent videos. We look at them in detail. Then we have platelets. So this is a picture showing platelets which are flowing through blood vessels. So this is a platelet, 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 this is a platelet. The purple ones are the platelets, and this purple color is due to staining. So let's discuss platelets. Platelets are not complete cells. They are fragments of cells, and they are produced when a very big cell called megakaryocyte breaks down. So when the megakaryocyte breaks down, that's the cytoplasm of the megakaryocyte breaks down, we get platelets. They do not have nucleus, as I mentioned, and the diameter is around 2 micrometers. 2 micrometers, that's 2 meters divided by a million. Each unit will be 2 micrometers. Platelets have a very short lifespan, 7 to 10 days. 7 to 10 days. Also lacking due to the absence of nucleus. Platelets are involved in formation of what we call hemostatic plug to prevent excessive blood loss during injury. So whenever you have a cut or an injury that causes bleeding, platelets will rush to the site of injury, the site where the blood vessel is injured, and then form a seal at the injured blood vessel to prevent excessive blood loss or injury. But after this primary seal or this first plug is formed to prevent bleeding, later on it may be strengthened. The plug or the seal may be strengthened by coagulation factors so that blood loss does not occur. Platelets also have a secondary function of being involved in immune response. So this is a picture of a blood film. When you prefer a blood film, you put blood on a slide, on a glass slide, and you prepare a film. This is how the various cells will appear. So this is a normal blood film. So these two are neutrophils. This is a neutrophil, and then these ones, the ones with pale center, this small circular ones with a pale center. These ones are red blood cells. These ones are all red blood cells, the small circular cells with pale center. Nothing, the center is hollow, are red blood cells, and it's hollow or pale because of the absence of the nucleus. And then these ones, these small purple ones with very small purple dots are platelets. These ones are all platelets. These ones are platelets. So we've come to the end of the lecture.